Hello everybody and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope we're doing well, and today we're talking a little bit about The Northman, which is a film expected to come out in the next couple of weeks, which based off the trailer looks like it's going to be completely awesome. However, the box office prospects for the film do not look nearly as awesome, especially when we found out just the other day that The Northman's box office, really the production budget for the film, is $90 million, meaning this film needs to make more than any other film made by this director, Robert Eggers, who has never really had a film that has made a huge amount of money at the box office. He's much more known for making smaller budget independent films that are usually very highly praised because of their writing style or because of the way they're shot or because of other means like that. And I don't expect this film to be any different as far as being a visual spectacle, especially having the amazing cast that he has been able to put together. But $90 million, again, break-even point for that film would be 2.5 times that number. That's going to be a pretty hard number to beat. But one thing I think that might be able to help this film, not just is the amazing trailer that has been released so far for this movie, but I think these comments made by one of the stars of the film, Alexander Skarsgard, might be able to motivate some people who maybe were on the fence with this film or had no interest in this film in going out to support it just because of him. Before going though any further into this story, please make sure you smash that like button, light that fire button if you're watching over on Odyssey, and also make sure that you are subscribed to the channel with that bell notification on. That way you know every time a video or live stream goes live on the channel. And I want to apologize because apparently notifications did not go out last night for the live stream, and I heard that from a lot of the people that came in and saying it was basically had gotten ghosted, and so I apologize for that. I don't know what's going on with YouTube there, but just so you know, I do always stream Tuesdays and Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. I will always let you all know if that schedule ever changes because of some other commitment, like family coming into town or something like that. So just expect the stream to exist, and unfortunately you might have to go out and actually find it. But anyway, let's go ahead and into the story. It says here from Bounding Into Comics, our friends over at Bounding Into Comics, the Northman actor Alexander Skarsgard spills the beans on the incredibly ridiculous Hollywood culture. So this comes to us from John F. Trent, and as I was reading this story, for the one thing, as I was looking at these pictures, I was like, these have to be some of the highest the highest quality photos that I've seen from Bounding Into Comics in quite a while. Shout out to John F. Trent for being able to do that. But also, every single one of these pictures just makes me want to go see this film even more because the production design, the costuming, the makeup all look spectacular. That all being said, let's look at what was going on. It says, the Northman actor, of course, recently spilled the beans in an interview. It says, while Skarsgard's comments might not surprise many, it is somewhat refreshing to hear actors criticize the morally bankrupt culture of Hollywood. Skarsgard's comments came in an interview with the Sunday Times while promoting The Northman. He began by saying the industry is incredibly ridiculous. I think truer words have not ever been spoken. And by the way, just look at that poster. Again, amazing actors are a part of this film. I look at this and I think to myself, yes, I want to go see this movie right now. And I hope other people do too, because this film needs to make quite a bit of money in order to break even. I mean, look at this. Look at this landscaping. Even in a poster, it looks phenomenal. So I really hope that it is able to deliver on its looks here. It says, from there, he elaborated, quote, in meetings, people are really insecure and eager to please, but it's strict hierarchy. If people at the top say something is good, people fall in line. And I think that's something that a lot of us have been calling out, is how typical Hollywood actors will fall in line with whatever narrative that they have to push, and they will put aside whatever personal thoughts that they might own, that they might themselves have, which gets away and pushes away any sense of actual diversity in Hollywood, because true diversity is diversity of thought, diversity of opinion. The reason why people typically associate it with diversity of culture is because normally if you're raised in a different culture, you have different ideas, you have different thoughts. But what has happened in Hollywood is that there's been a homogenization of these thoughts, whereas if you don't have right think, if you don't fall in line with the cult mentality, then you are on the outside, meaning that they are actually opposed to true diversity, because diversity of thought is at the very core of that. So it's nice to hear an actor in Hollywood actually calling that out for once, because this is absolutely what's going on. He didn't stop there. He went on to say also menial, trivial BS stuff becomes very important to people. Despite the fact that that's not maybe the best formulated sentence, I do think that it still does speak a lot, right? That the trivial BS becomes important to people, and I think that that is something also worth calling out. As an actor, the value placed on how important something is can become laughable to me. And here he's talking out and calling out the materialism that exists in Hollywood, and I think that we can really call out the materialism in our own country, the materialism of the Western world, and really across the world in general, and how much we've been focused on things and stuff and not so much on experiences and people and the things that really matter. Obviously, as you all know, as a Catholic, our relationship with God, I think, would also, of course, have to be at the top of that list. He goes on to say, I live an incredibly privileged life. I don't really have to work. I've made enough. I could retire, which is extraordinary. Notice how he relates his privilege not because of his skin color, as Hollywood would want us to think, but because of the amount of money that he's made. Because ultimately, that is how privilege works. It's based on economic lines, which is why in more recent news with Will Smith, the reason why we can say clearly that he has privilege is the fact that he was able to walk up to another person on live television, assault them, and as far as any legal repercussions, there have been none. Now, one could argue saying, yeah, well, now there's rumors of his movies being canceled and all this other stuff. Okay, but if you or I had done what he had done, we would be in prison right now, had to have paid bail, and would be standing trial. So, is that privilege? I would say so. He goes on to say, but I don't feel the need to broadcast that with expensive clothes or cars. That radiates insecurity. When you see somebody with a $1 million watch, that's peacocking. It can feel like they're overcompensating. Beautiful. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Shout out Alexander Skarsgard for calling that out. So again, for one, calling out the fact that the culture of Hollywood is all about trying to appease to these Hollywood directors and these Hollywood producers, right? These Hollywood elites, this hierarchical system where any sense of individuality and individual thought goes out the window. So kudos to you for calling that out. And I hope that and what he has said here, also calling out materialism, is able to maybe pique some people's interest in this film. Again, I'm not the biggest Robert Eggers film. The Lighthouse, I thought, was a beautifully shot film. I loved what he did with the cinematography for that film. I love the acting in that film. I did not like the story at all. The story to me was just too weird and too bizarre. I'm hoping that the Northman is maybe a little bit more on the, I guess you could say, the normal side of things. That being said, because it is Robert Eggers and because he seems like a man true to himself, it probably won't be the case, but that means that it'll probably be a lot more of an authentic film of what actual Norse people would have actually talked like, right, as far as the language structure, or as far, at the very least, as the culture of that time, getting that right. It's going to be interesting, to say the very least. And as I mentioned previously, and we'll keep on mentioning that cast, Alexander Skarsgård being one of them, Nicole Kidman's in it, Claes Bang is in it, Anya Taylor-Joy is in it, Ethan Hawke Bjork, and Willem Dafoe, my man Willem Dafoe, who won a Raven Award for Lifetime Achievement. Shout out to Willem Dafoe for winning that Raven Award here on this channel. It then goes on to talk about this film coming up. And again, look at these photos. All these photos look fantastic. This one especially. Oof. Let's see, Ingvar Sigurdsson as the sorcerer. That just sounds awesome in a film. It just honestly sounds like something that is just going to be crazy. It says, the Vikings believed that some people had a spirit animal living within them that would manifest itself on occasion in different ways. For women, it was often a sea creature, but for men, it was a fox or a wolf or a bear, or in Hamlet's case, it's both wolf and bear. Beowulf, if you will. Before the big raid on the Slav village, we watch him take on strength and ferocity of a bear combined with the agility and nimbleness of a wolf. So again, really going into Viking culture here, and I think that is very interesting to see, and I think it is something that is definitely going to be worth looking into. He goes on to say that Skarsgård also likened the film to Hamlet. The most famous story of family revenge in literature is Hamlet's. Hamlet's key influence and predecessor is the Scandinavian legend of Hamlet, and that essentially movie that we have made, infusing the flavors of the old Norse myths with the dry, laconic language of Icelandic sagas and retain the supernatural elements from the Hamlet legend. So again, I just think that that's really cool because it is just keeping with what the actual story would have been, what the actual area would have been, and basically staying true to the source material. This is something that we've been talking about for a long time. And so if this film can deliver being a good movie, then I think this is going to tick all those boxes, right? We had a conversation last night about how people these days are just more focused on, well, hey, at least it's not woke, which we all know is not enough. It's not enough. It's not a good metric. However, following the source material, it seems, at the very least, to the best of their abilities, and if they're able to say, hey, we're also going to tell a good story to boot, I think that we might have ourselves a film worth supporting and worth getting around, and I hope that other members of the community can maybe help get around this film as well, especially, and again, most importantly, if the film is good. Every indication would seem to indicate that this film is going to be good, but obviously we all know sometimes things can look really good on the outside, but on the inside are rotting corpses. So what are y'all's thoughts about this bit of news about the comments made by Alexander Skarsgard? Again, I think he really hits it out of the park on two different points. One, calling out how actors will fall in line just to be able to get their careers along, and two, how they try to overcompensate with trying to get the $1 million watch and show off with a bunch of rich things. I think that is something that is worth talking about, worth calling out, and so kudos to him for doing so. And also, what are your thoughts about the Northman? Again, the film needs to make a lot of money, and right now the projections are not looking good. So this is the kind of film where if you want this kind of film or these kinds of actors to be able to succeed, or these kinds of directors to be able to succeed, $4 to $8 million is right now the projected opening weekend, with the long-term domestic total being between 10 and 20 million. So us showing up and supporting this film is going to be a big part of that. So, of course, I want this film to be good. And so before I give a full endorsement of the film, I actually have to see it first. It does come out the 22nd of April, which is not too far away. But, right now, everything as far as trailers and the attitude of Alexander Skarsgard, it's looking in a positive direction. But what are y'all's thoughts? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you like this video, smash that like button, slap that fire button on Odyssey. You're all amazing, beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless. And now for a huge shout out to all of my April Patreon, Subscribestar, and Locals members. Starting off with Patreon with Animation Commentator, Brandon, let's go Brandon, Brian P., Christopher Bowman, Father Christopher Miller, Hail to you, Father, Father Damian Cook, Garrett Searles, Harold Francis, Hymir Ari Hymeson, Inflamed Wood, Jacob from Holland, Jeff Toon, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Gomer Kyle 79, Laura, the Modern Major General Story, Mike Jackson, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mondo Spieler, Mr. Peabody, On to June, Orange Hat Reviews, Priscilla Hall, Rosella Allen, Stan Andrian, Miss Martin Muses, Theodore Bendon, Tina Bojan, and Tina B., the Empress of the Universe. Thank you very much for supporting me over on Patreon. And also to my Subscribestar peeps, Matt317, Storm Tracker, The R, Fast Reaction, Nosferatu Gatsu, Stand 4, John B., Mr. Roy, Glinzer, J. Alice McCarthy Jr., Dean Heiss, J-Rod, the Beer Guru, and ZK-Man. And also a huge shout out to my Locals members, starting off with Kara Tharp, K Tharp 56. Also, UAB, Mad Dog, Mike Jackson, Robert Barnes, and also a huge support as well to Brett D90. Thank you very much for supporting me over on Locals. Thank you again to everyone for supporting the channel. Please, if you want your name shouted out at the end of every live stream and video, go ahead and check out the top link at the video description. It is my Willow link, as I like to describe it, and it brings you to a link tree where you get access to all of these different locations, as well as all of the various social media platforms that you can follow me on. If you join at the Citizen of Asgard level, you get your name shouted out at the end of every single live stream and video. Army of Asgard level gets you that, plus you get access to a giveaways channel that I have on Discord. If you ever don't have access to that giveaways channel, please contact me. I do send out the link to the Discord and with the instructions on it at the beginning of every single month. But if you don't have access to that giveaways channel where I'm giving away 4Ks and Blu-rays and all that kind of stuff, as much as I possibly can give away is available there. Please just reach out to me and I will gladly walk you through the process to make sure you get access to that giveaways channel. And again, that is, Army of Asgard level, whether you be on Patreon, Subscribestar, or on Locals. Also, if you are the keeper of the Bifrost level, you get access to all of that. Plus, you get access to a podcast that I do with John the Flick Pick Flickinger. We try and do it once or twice a month. I think we're going to try and do it twice this month to make up for some miscommunication that we had last month. So be on the lookout for for that, and look out for those podcast Q&A posts that are always available on the Patreon main page, the Subscribestar main page, on the YouTube side of things as well. The YouTube community tab, you'll always find the podcast Q&A there, and also on the locals page as well. And if you join at the Chosen of Valhalla level, the highest of the levels, you get access to all of that. Plus, if it's your first month, you get a free t-shirt, any t-shirt you want from my Teespring, my TeePublic, whichever one you want to get it from. You just let me know the size, location I'm sending it to, color, that kind of stuff. You get it sent to you. Plus, you get to be featured once a month on the Chosen of Valhalla live stream, where we all come together and just talk about movies and really anything the Chosen want to talk about, and it is a lot of fun. Anyway, thank you all very much for your love and for your support. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless.